Check.
Check. 1, 2.
Check. Well, you, Craig, and welcome back to the 98th rendition of Cooped-Up Conversations with Aaron, Joey, Prokop, and me, Cooper. I'm really glad Aaron can join us. He's shamefully looking the other way, doing something shameful.
What are you doing to yourself, Aaron?
Yeah, Aaron, what are you doing? Thanks for joining us, dude. Aaron's been gone most of this month. It's
Came
crazy.
Back to his place.
It's crazy because, like, kids, this is a learning lesson for you. If you just don't do any work, you still can take vacations. And then you don't need to listen to the podcast ever. You can keep on telling Cooper, hey, I'm going to help you out with the TikTok, and then make like 1 or 2 videos in a row that do well, and then get me kind of excited that our TikTok's doing well, and then he goes off the grid for a month and a half. That's cool. But kids, if you work hard, like Aaron does, you can take vacations for a month from the podcast. If you work hard
like that.
Yeah, well, he needed to finish up first. It's very realistic to the normal one when we're on Discord. I might have pit stains, so I'm not putting my arms up. I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Being back on camera.
Yeah, the camera thing is always tough. The first few minutes, because it's like it makes you, it's a little more shameful. I was preparing myself for one of those people when we were waiting for the elevator. It took about 5 minutes for this elevator to get back down, and about 6 other people in Joey's apartment building. We've never really seen anybody in this building. 6 other people shamefully waiting for this elevator for 5 minutes. We had all the mics and stuff in our hands, all the stands and shit, and I was like, if someone asks a question, I was mentally prepared to say porn. Like, we have a really successful OnlyFans, because I think it's a little less embarrassing in these modern times than having a podcast is.
We're closeted podcasters.
Porn. What do you do, porn?
We have a very successful
OnlyFans. Who are you talking to?
We do
there?
porn.
It's JOI.
Strictly JOI.
ASMR.
What was that bullying? We have an informant who was telling us about the OnlyFans bullying. We've taken up bullying through a podcast on OnlyFans.
Yeah, for $5.99 a month. Aaron saying that
That's
it's
for
maple
Twitch.
syrup around the fucking rim is wrong. That makes that taste not good.
It's not that it tastes bad. It's just that it just runs. Like, it's not as viscous.
It runs, and it's like it teases you. And I think mentally, like, you're ready for that. I think you're
sticky now.
Yeah, you're mentally ready for the caramel too. So when you and it's maple syrup, it's like your brain doesn't work well, dude. It's like
just throws you off.
Yeah, it's not what I'm expecting mentally, and I'm not a fan of it. I am a fan sometimes when they put a little nutmeg in it, but not too much though.
Might have to. I'll fix that for you, Joe. It's being a bugger.
You got to point it up, or it's not even going to be able to be heard. What did I come here to talk about?
You said you wanted to do historical takes.
I did want to do historical things, but I'll lead off with something that I heard today that I thought was very funny. So I'm cleaning up today, like at work. The kids are like getting ready for school, and these 2 kids were going at it about like fucking kickball from 20 minutes ago or whatever the fuck we played this morning. I don't know. They played something. Capture the flag. That's what it was. Not that the fucking detail matters. But these kids were chirping each other, and it wasn't anything serious. So you like let it go. It's like you build character, and then one of them goes, "Dude, I'm a 5th grade multi-sport athlete. I'm not worried about you at all." I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I literally died laughing, which honestly diffused the situation, because like I just was like, dude, I couldn't believe that was said unironically. Like the funniest shit. And then 2 seconds later, this little kindergartner's like drinking his chocolate milk, and he looks up at me. He goes, "You have a really big head." Drinks more of his chocolate milk. I'm like, dude, this is fucking nuts. But they also say dumb stuff, dude. The kid with the butterfly pointed out. I sent a few people that joke, asking them what they thought about it, and a lot of people were not a fan of the 9/11 little sprinkle in there. I thought it was funny. And I'll fucking ride on that L. I thought it was kind of funny.
Isn't it funny that it just passed and like no one?
It's a
really
joke,
cared?
dude. It's a pretty well embraced joke at this point that Bush did 9/11. Like, it's a pretty out there meme. That just proves that, like, for the most part, if it's not like the only people who laughed listening to the video, because I knew like the people like what their laughs would sound like, and I'm like, it was the people about our age. A lot of the older people. This one guy groaned, and I'm like, oh, we get it, bro. We get it.
You still believe?
No, it's a joke, dude. It's a joke, and it's like. So I think I could have executed that a little bit better because I wanted to get the facial expressions in there. I just kind of it was the first time I ever did it. But I thought it was a kind of funny little thing. But apparently 9/11's not funny unless you're Family Guy or any other cartoon that has fucking...
It's been how many years? 21?
It's been 21 years. In 4 years,
in
Leonardo
20 years,
DiCaprio...
it's officially history.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and in
my book.
And in 4 years, Leonardo DiCaprio is going to dump it for another tragedy. It's aging out, bro. It's 21. You're an adult. Once you're 21, that's when people start to give you less and less leeway about being a fucking... They don't care about you as much. You need to be in your face. And is 9/11 really in your face anymore? Not really, man. People will start forgetting. I'm just saying. When did Pearl Harbor start getting funny? Because Pearl Harbor's apparently funny.
Pearl Harbor's funny?
They've made plenty of jokes about Pearl Harbor. Rick and Morty did a fucking Pearl Harbor explosion scene, and they like were like, "Hey, this is what it is." They could have just had it be subtle, and they were like,
they skipped the 9/11. That was the thing.
But that's my point. So when does it age? So when it becomes
Rick
history,
and
you
Morty
think?
says it's funny.
That's true.
I think it is history. It's 20 years. Yeah,
The bits are gonna start coming.
Anyways, it was a joke. All right, I don't really think George Bush did 9/11. All right.
Did he
but
have
to
a
say
hand
he
in it?
didn't potentially even know is crazy. Like, that's what the joke was. It was just a stupid joke, and I thought it was funny. Because it led in the accomplishment thing, I thought was also funny. But I was like, the memes, dude, the drive one, I thought I let it in pretty good. I didn't sneak it in the way I want. Didn't come off. I should have just embraced it a little bit more. I pulled back a little bit, and they took that. I should have dug in.
I bet that people don't even watch this drive that much anymore.
No, I'm sure. Yeah, like, to be honest with you, that's the weird thing-ish about stand-up is, like, some of the, like, little fucking things, like, quips that I, like, try to say aren't, like, the people who are a little bit older than us
It's
don't
intellectual
get it.
humor.
It's not intellectual humor. At the end of the day, dude.
It's internet cretin humor.
Well, dude, at some point, it's like, yeah, a lot more of my influence will come from, like, internet humor at some point than, like, older people. Like, you know what I mean? It just is what it is. It's like, it's not... It is, like, that's why, like, I don't know, some of the times it works better around schools. I don't need to get into the fucking stand-up thing. I thought the 9/11 joke was a bit. Guess not.
It's time to get over it, guys.
I also went a little too far with the making fun of British people, I guess, this time. Because I was like, oh, you can't heat your house and it's 45 degrees. And I made that joke, and apparently that was not funny. You know what I mean? I don't know why it wasn't
it's
funny.
very funny.
Yeah, but I didn't. Again, I pulled back a little bit. If I stayed aggressive with it, I think it would have come off more as a joke. But I kind of pulled back and I was like, oh, like questioning it, like added it in as if I would on the podcast, which was a mistake on my part. But anyway, speaking about British people, the thing I wanted to talk about that I saw like a video about it this week, the potential of how much better theoretically the world could have been if in World War I the German I would say so here's the deal. I will be 100% honest. I think the Balkans and all that stuff would have happened anyway. So the Ottomans winning, I don't know how much of a fucking impact. The Austro-Hungarians, I think, were falling apart. Realistically, though, keeping structure in those areas might have had a different impact. You know what I mean? But the German thing, I think 100%. World War II wouldn't have happened, I don't think, or at least it wouldn't have happened as soon as it did.
If the Germans won?
Yeah. If the Americans, let's say the Americans never sent troops over, didn't get involved, and the Germans won.
I'm guessing, I don't know. I feel like they could have broken up again at some point.
I think so too, but I'm saying...
Either that or them and Russia.
I'm saying...
Butt heads.
Look at... Okay, so here's more of the perspective I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the British and French, who then for another 20 years, 20 to 40 years in some parts of the world... Yeah, but it's not like
those people are going away.
They might have. If German
but the Germans
puts... If
just
German,
would have done it.
Okay, so maybe what I'm trying to... I'm trying to think of like what exactly I'm trying to say. for why I'm kind of defending it. I'm saying that like I think England's empire and stuff would have here. I think maybe in history, like England isn't looked at badly yet. They kind of have this grace period where like they got to like be.
They're kind of looked at like the Romans at this point.
Yeah, which is I think wouldn't have happened if they lost World War One, because I think Germany would have fucking stripped them of a lot of their colonies and shit like that. And,
but then the Germans would just cut it up, and Germans and British were basically the same person.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that's the thing.
It was too late.
I think the Germans didn't have enough colonies yet that even if they took it over, that just it wouldn't have been worth taking them over. Like, you know what I mean? I think realistically, a lot of like the colonies in like Asia and stuff where they didn't have the structure, whereas the British were there with like a fucking 200-year like head start. Them just taking those colonies over.
Well, we're talking, let's say 1921.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they'd have to take France too, probably.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm fine with that. That's my point. These both of those countries get such a pass.
But the people inside England and France would still be there and they'd still be in charge.
I think there's still like
it's
a huge conflict.
But I think they wouldn't have been able to afford their empires.
No, they would have broken it up at that point.
They would have had to. Because,
and then you would have been in the same spot you would have been anyways.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're not really the same spot, because think of why World War II really happened. At the end of the day, England and France didn't want to fight World War II because neither of them were ready yet. Germany just outproduced them.
But
and
are
got
you saying
the
in
head
terms
start.
of the colonies? Because by World War II,
the colonies I'm more saying is the only reason I bring in the colonies, and I think I might have been confusing with it. The only reason I brought in the colonies is the fact that like I think those colonies, like the empires of England and France, would have broken up earlier, which I think would have given us more time to look at them historically. Especially if you think of it, you don't have the Nazis in the 40s. Think of what history really would have been. Those guys would have both been the villains. They're still looked at as the heroes of the world.
They probably would have became Nazis.
They're so ignorant, dude, about how bad they really were. They look at like a lot of the colonizing as them bringing like structure to a lot of these places, and it was the exact opposite. Like, I'm reading a book about the East India Company and basically how they basically conquered India. It wasn't the English like themselves. It was a private company and then got federal. Like they basically, it became so integral to the British Empire, the first like too big to fail business. So it got so integral into the empire that they couldn't let it fail. So like the foreign interest became like imperial interest because of the business. It was like the first one, and they bailed it out, and like right before. That's basically why they like raised the taxes and stuff, and like the whole fucking colonies were like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Like is because they like had to raise the taxes because they had to bail out the East India Company for saving America from the French during the French Indian War, or whatever it's called. I think it's still the French Indian War historically, but yeah, I just look at it as like those guys get to look at like because the Nazis were such like it's almost in history too good to be true how bad that they were. Like that's almost why I wonder why like people are like, oh, like the English like supported the Nazis and stuff. It's like low key, dude. Strategy wise, you got to think someone like because those people give a fuck about their legacy. Like we don't really think about that as much as they probably do. They're definitely doing those like plans in advance. And they're like, oh, Germany's the big fucking enemy.
I mean,
we got America on our side this time.
If you want to compare, so if you're going on that timeline, Belgium and Netherlands,
also terrible. But they got to fade out too. And
they were awful, but they faded out at that time that you're saying that England and France would have faded out, and everyone still thinks rainbows come out their asshole
because they got rolled over. They got rolled over
so
during World War II. If you get rolled
if they
over,
got rolled over by the Nazis, we wouldn't think of them as bad though.
But the Nazis wouldn't have happened because that's the thing. Fascism rose in Germany because of the power.
I don't mean Nazis. I mean.
The other thing is too. The other thing is too.
And the wreck from everyone else being like Germany, you fucked up.
I'm also
economic wreck.
I also have an outside of Europe perspective about this take too that I wanted to say is also one of the big reasons that Japan became so imperialistic was that they did a lot of fighting in World War I, and it's not really talked about because it's not like trench warfare, yada yada yada. But they did a lot of fighting against German colonies out in the islands. That's why they viewed those islands as theirs. They didn't get any like during the Treaty of Versailles. They almost got no credit for like anything, and then they didn't really get a big say in the League of Nations. So they basically
got
snubbed
pissed.
Japan, which made them go like, all right, fuck you guys. We deserve this shit.
One
We
Asia.
fine."
That's what they
Yeah,
wanted.
so like that's the thing. So if the British and the French, like, because Britain and France were so fucking like they were so superior, and they felt so fucking like, oh, they put all the blame on Germany, and that basically just destroyed Germany financially, which made Hitler rise. They also then were able to, because they won, fuck over the Japanese out in the Pacific and made them rise. It caused a ton of problems. But the only thing that I would say, as another perspective too, I've been thinking about this all day, I was excited to talk about this, was that America might not have been able to kind of step in as quick as they were without both of those world wars, which is kind of like the thing, because World War One was we were like considered like a third world country still, kind of.
We didn't even have an army.
Gilded Age.
Yeah, we barely had an army.
A stand-in army, at least.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. Spanish-American War.
But those were
those were basically like
Marines.
cowboys.
Yeah. Like cowboys.
But that's how we almost start getting a two-ocean navy in the late 1800s, where we're just as getting to the imperialistic
Yeah, we did have a good
area.
navy.
We're working to get there,
England
and then
level,
World War One is
No.
where it's like, oh, we can come to the table now.
But also, both of those world wars, I think, weakened everybody at the perfect time too, to allow America to kind of take
And
that.
Japan, America and Japan to both come to the front stages.
We also got a lot of scientists.
Well, that
is true. That
wait,
is
we're talking
true.
one or two.
But you
two,
would-
we get
maybe-
the
I'm
scientists.
talking
You got to think
thousands.
maybe there would. The crazy thing is maybe there wouldn't even be
Ever heard of NASA?
nuclear bombs yet until World War II was a thing. Because if there was no need, there was no global conflict that they felt that was bad enough to make a bomb that ruined entire cities, they might not have like put money into that.
My hot
For
take
a long
is
time later.
if we didn't use that bomb in Japan, it would have been used. The
We
next
didn't need
one
to
would
use
have
it
been
twice.
used.
I
Huh?
will say that.
We did or we didn't.
I don't think we probably looking back at it historically, it looks terrible that we did it twice.
But what I'm saying is, let's say it ended somehow. Japan surrendered, and now no one knows what a nuke does to a bunch of, a city. So then the next one could have been like
It would have
10
been
nukes.
Korea. It could have been
been
Korea.
like 10 nukes on Korea.
But
Yeah.
Korea also
That's my hot
became a
take.
fucking problem on the world scale once World War II happened, and they split it up after fucking the Soviets went down into the Korean peninsula.
Yeah,
and
they
plus,
did it.
And plus, Japan,
North and South Japan.
went into Japan. But that's the thing. Maybe Japan wouldn't have felt the need to go to Korea if they had those extra islands around because at the end of the day, one of the biggest things about Japan was always resources. They needed to take over other places if they wanted.
They
to
still had the
sustain
one
themselves.
Asia though. And
Yeah,
that's kind of what China has
Japan
now,
wanted
but-
to be like Japan saw China fall, and then
Well,
wanted
Japan
to
made
take
China
over.
fall. Do you mean before or after World War II?
Well,
China was falling to
China was already,
imperialistic endeavors, and then Japan seeing
they all
like
were back then.
as like a separate island, they're like, oh well, we can be separate from this, and we can be better than this, and they have their own like, oh, we're better than these mainlanders. We're off in our special island, and
China also didn't want to
Yeah.
join the one China with Japan, I think, until now. Now they kind of went back on that.
yeah, I don't know. I just thought
You make mistakes.
I just thought it was quite
yeah, a whole
Interesting.
Nanking of a mistake.
happens.
A whole city,
Happens.
a couple concentration camps.
The great Nanking mistake.
Who's the man king?
the Nanking.
Oh yeah,
Man
yeah,
king.
yeah. I thought you were saying man king. I was like,
The Nan.
yeah. I mean, that's not probably funny, but yeah, it's.
No,
but-
it's not funny. But also, why didn't Japan's Navy and Army talk to each other in World War II? That might have been it.
I
They
don't
were
know.
like two separate
Oh yeah,
countries.
they hated each other. It was all about like
It's called war, guys.
It was all
It's
about
called
like
you're on the same side.
no because
How
they were
come
like I want to
all
have
of Europe and America can be cool with each other, but your Navy and Army can't. I don't know.
yeah I know
Bad luck.
the Navy wanted to win,
Can't even get
the
one
Army
Japan.
wanted to win, and the Air Force wanted to win. All based on either the Air Force doing all the work, the Navy
that was
doing
kinda
all the
like
work, or the Army doing all the
I
work.
heard America too was like the reason a lot of the Navy didn't want us to drop the bombs because they didn't want the Air Force to take credit or something like that. They wanted the Navy and Army to take credit so that way they would get more money. And that way the Air Force got
because
more
the
money.
Air Force
We didn't
was-
even
Yeah,
have
because at
one
a point,
The
those
Air
wars
Force
become
was-
political. Of like, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, they think about legacy and shit like that. So I was like, damn.
I think enough people died at that point. They're like, you know what, whatever it takes.
Yeah. Yeah. Two
Can
was
you imagine
definitely
how
a mistake.
pissed Great Britain and all of them would have been, like Australia, if they're like, wait a minute, you
We
guys
get-
could have just ended this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get.
We're struggling to survive after the Nazis.
I will say Truman was in a tough place. The second one,
How far were
I
they?
mean,
Are
it's
we gonna
also
debate the
it's
second
also-
one
it's
right
How
also-
now?
far were they apart?
No, like 3
Weeks.
days.
No,
it was
oh,
3
really?
days. It was 3 days. It was
Really?
August 6th and August
so
9th.
they're probably
But the
already
problem
flying
is,
over.
one of the things is the Soviets were conquering so much territory because they just, by the time they got all their stuff out there, they just took over huge like amounts of territory. So I think it got to the point where like that was another reason they didn't want to split up, because they knew they were gonna have to split up Korea at that point. They're like, do we want to split up Japan too after we put all this effort into beating them the whole time? So I think that's why they did it. But it's also, we get to hindsight's 2020. You know what I mean? But ethically, you gotta kind of like looking back at it. That's the thing. It's almost 100 years ago. We gotta meet. We talked about this for a long time.
You gotta put the fog of war
You
on.
got. It's not even. You just got to admit sometimes. Maybe just be fucking reflective for a little bit. Because all these empires
3
are
days.
never
You
reflective.
could have given him a week.
No, I mean,
The thing was already in flight.
to be real.
It was on the boat already.
No, yeah, no.
It
I
was
think
already
that-
in the plane because those things go at like 2 miles per hour.
With that cargo, you don't want any turbulence.
We're taking an easy flight.
A big boy and what was it?
Little man.
Big
No.
boy and little man.
Fat Man and
Fat man and little. Wait.
Yeah, I think it was Fat Man.
Yeah, it was Fat Man was the big one. One was hydrogen.
I remember
think.
that from Fallout. That's the name of the nuke.
The Enola Gay.
Can you imagine me on that plane looking down after? Because you don't know what it looks like as the pilot. You haven't seen the test in the desert. And that one's even bigger than the test.
You gotta feel that in the plane.
Oh, did
Well,
they
they
make
told
it?
them not to.
Did they make it?
Yeah, they both made it.
Because if you're a
They-
pilot and you look back, you're blind. And it's
They
like,
told you not to look back. That's what they said. They had like special sunglasses on. They told them not to look back.
Oh my god.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I heard that. I
Imagine
don't know if
living
this
with
is
that.
true, but I heard that they had a lot of Japanese Americans on that Enola Gay, or one of the planes that dropped it.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know.
Really?
I heard that from a Fort Minor song.
Probably not. Probably not real then.
Let's look it up. Oh, Aaron's not here.
I did re-download World at War to do the Stalingrad mission again.
The sniper one?
Yeah, just to wake up in the half dead in the fountain in Stalingrad and have Reznov
That's an iconic moment.
bring me back and finish the German general, jump into the river. Their land, their blood.
Yeah. That was a good. Did you? So how was the beta Pro Cup?
It was great. It's gonna be good. I don't think you guys have to worry.
Is it going to be like the old one? Because that's all we really need.
What
I wouldn't
MW?
even-
It's better. It's-
See, I've heard mixed reviews.
But who are you listening to? Because I know you
I've-
have people like Aaron.
Like, no, but like people, but like Dom and Jaden. Dom said it was. Jaden said
yeah,
it
but
was
they
decent.
play Fortnite.
But I needed. The thing is, for me, dude, I'm gonna need to get a new Xbox. And it's like, do I want to get a new Xbox right now? Just because I don't play. I have not played video games.
Search and Destroy. I was having a great time. Search and
If you
Destroy,
get the-
like classic chirping, like calling kids out and like making them cry was fun.
Oh, is the game chat back?
Game chat's
the
back.
question I had is like, you might know this, but like when you finish a game in the newer Call of Duties, it puts you in a completely new lobby. Back in the day, you used to just recycle as many players as possible, and like whoever leaves, like they fill them back in. But you'd be playing with the
They're
same
still
kids for, like-
recycling.
that's lame.
That is lame, but
Well,
That's probably why they did it, so they don't have people.
like
well, it's also
being
skill-based
toxic.
matchmaking. So there's
Yeah.
only so many people.
So
that
if you
they-
beat someone out, they're gonna switch in better. Like, okay, you don't want to get slaughtered by this team again.
But you could just leave. I don't know.
Yeah,
And then
you
that
could.
should reset it. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't want people like leaving games. I guess I don't know.
I think they just want it to be as quick as possible. So like if you have a lobby where half the people leave, you're gonna be sitting in that lobby for another 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Instead of just going right into a new one.
I think what's gonna be fun is it's gonna be us, Rob, and like we'll get Jaden or someone else. Hey guys, if you want to play COD with us, play COD with us. I think it's gonna be fun to
1,000 V-Bucks and we will play Call of Duty with you.
Sign up on the OnlyFans.
Get the cheap Xbox. It's basically a Netflix player.
But I want to have as much money for Amsterdam as possible. Truthfully.
Well, listeners, that's the content you want. Unless you want more revisionist history, we could just rewrite history right here on the podcast. From a truly American perspective.
What do you mean? Revisionist history on what?
I don't know. Let's just rewrite. Let's just.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Let's just do some propaganda like we just did about history.
Right.
That
wasn't propaganda.
I bet
that
none of
was
it's true.
question.
I bet none of it's true.
It wasn't. It's not. It's not supposed to be true. It was a question.
Yeah, but it's anti-Europe.
Yeah.
History.
It wasn't necessarily anti-Europe.
Joey, I will
also anti-everyone else besides America.
Joey, I will say I've been very interested in. It's gonna sound super commie again. Proletariat history. It's way more interesting.
Yeah,
dude. It sounds
Didn't
commie
they kill
at first,
anyone that had an education? So I don't know.
Probably.
If you kill anyone that has an education, you might not have the best source of history. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
If you burn books and.
Okay, that's very just pointed at Mao, but okay.
Well, then
It's not necessarily pointed at Mao.
Just
people
Mao. burn
books. A lot of people burn books. A lot of regimes burn books. Anybody who burns books.
I don't know commies to burn books though. Commies don't burn books. They they hold up Minecraft and like say don't this is crazy.
Which one was it? Cambodia or Laos?
Cambodia definitely did.
Okay. Pol Pot. Okay.
Well, that's a big one.
He's a big one.
You can't just discredit it.
Yeah, but
I think Stalin also burned books. I don't know, or at least someone did in that regime.
They did. Everyone probably burns books.
I would. Yeah.
But that's the point.
That's such
okay,
a low,
but like
that's how close it can
get.
The proletariat is different from communists, though, and like
okay.
So
what have you been listening to?
I've been listening to Michael Parenti's assassination of Julius Caesar. It accounts like Rome from
Ireland
a proletariat
books, by the way. I just want to point that out.
What?
When did
Ireland burn books in
Protestant books?
1918.
Dude,
you're on the list.
I remembered something.
Sorry, you should continue. I just wanted to make sure that was known.
So this really good book, I really recommend it if you want like a grassroots view of Rome, because we have so much of like Caesar down, and then you don't when you get down to like the lower classes, you're like, oh yeah, they're the poor people. But when you like think of like when you think of people's day to day, like especially like during the Depression, or like when people talk about like the crazy like gas shortages in the 70s, like they talk about their day to day experience, and I think that gives you a much more especially in the moment view of how history is happening. So like he explains like all the like crazy, when you think of things from the grassroots, you now see the craziness that's going on in Rome and how hard of a accomplishment it really is to hold that empire, and it's just going to collapse anyways. And
it took a while though, and
I'm like still halfway through it. Like no, yeah, and well, it's part of it's the expanding
too. If you still haven't read the Dan Carlin stuff, he does.
I need
a lot
to
of that
give
too.
him some time. He's good.
But
I think
when you
Dan's
think about,
a little
like,
too.
That's how like a lot of the Roman emperors got in, was like,
I'm
going to be the people. Yeah, like I'm going to help the people, and they didn't vote. They just went into the Senate and just killed everybody, the people, every time, and so it works. But then what would happen is you'd have these emperors, or like all these rich people, and the poor people would have to go to their house like every day and be like, "Can I have some money?" And the rich person would be like, "Yes, make sure you vote for me. Here's your money. Go live your life."
That's what they kind of do now.
But
that's what we do now.
Go to every house.
I'm saying it doesn't work very well, and that's what we do now.
Well, good for them, I will say.
See, it goes in cycles. You need
patronage.
a refresh every once in a while. Like you need just a new system every once in a while. I'm not saying we need a new system. I'm just saying, historically speaking, new systems happen. People get happy.
I mean, it worked for them though.
Well,
it's also tough now because we're
Joey, if you read this book, it goes, who did
Unless
it work?
you were not
Who
Roman.
did the system work for, Joey?
Well, I mean,
It worked for the guys handing out the money. It did not work out for the citizens.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's just
Well,
it's
the
a
citizens
perspective.
still get the money at the end of the day.
The people who are
live.
on top, it's just like human nature, man. They're gonna keep more. It's not fair. It's 100% not fair. And I think there's a definite way to like balance shit more. I think it's like you'd have to be dumb to argue that. But also, it's just like human nature. The people on top never are gonna see the same. They're just gonna be like, I don't know. Well, it's a lot of work up here, and maybe it is. We don't know. So, but like at the end of the day, it would be smarter for them to give us more at this point. But
yeah, that's what
I think
FDR
they will
did.
before it all comes down.
yeah, they have to, man. They have to.
No, that's what they do. And
They gave you work from home.
It's
remote work. But if you come into the office, bagels.
yeah. Anyways,
I think that probably.
I'm not
helped
trying.
us.
I'm not trying to get on a rant. I'm just saying this is a very interesting view of history that I don't see a lot of people talk about. It's a lot of great man history, a lot of
especially from that
state
age,
and
you don't
nation
see a lot of
history.
it. Because like from that age, you only have a few sources.
Exactly.
People who were able
You
to
have,
pay.
and
There
the few
are- but
sources
there are-
aren't going to talk about. Like,
there are
don't
the
care
first
about the
person
Herodotus
sources.
isn't going to. Yeah, Herodotus isn't going to talk about some farmer in the middle of Greece.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there are
Or
those
Pliny
like
the Elder, or
not
whoever.
news sources, but like there are recordings of
Cicero.
all that
Julius
shit.
Caesar.
Yeah.
He was the biggest
So,
historian. One of them.
the assassination of
Probably
Julius
just 'cause his shit
Caesar.
didn't get ruined. That's why he was one of the biggest historians.
There's probably an audiobook on YouTube, and I got it on Audible. Really good look. They really talk about like the
Audible
crazy.
isn't reading.
It isn't reading,
I
but
want to fight. I'm gonna
It's
challenge
not
that.
is this a good-
reading.
And
You're
here's-
listening to a podcast in a book form.
Yeah, but you haven't. The
You've
newer
absorbed-
books that come out, they make them with Audible in mind. They make them with the audiobook in mind. So they have like the original authors reading it, and they make it so you don't have to.
But that's not reading a book. That's not.
But you're still
reading a book.
retaining the same information.
Coop, I
that you
will
would
agree.
get.
But it's not
It's-
reading.
it's
You're
about
listening
the
to a
absorbing-
book.
But what does that
You're
make?
listening
But
to a
if you're
story.
retaining the same amount of information,
But that's what a podcast is.
but the podcast doesn't give as much information. I don't think.
Our kind of podcast don't, but there are podcasts that
No,
are
there are.
information
There are.
based.
But I'm saying you'll
it's a
still-
podcast. It's not a book.
But
reading
if it's
a
one
book
person,
is taking a book
if it's
and
one
reading
person narrating it.
it doesn't. The narrate. What? Forrest Gump has a goddamn narrator. It's not a book.
So if I listen to Forrest Gump, I'm not going to get as much from the
it's
from the
a
book.
movie.
Well, all right, then
All
let's
right.
pick a 1984 or something like that.
Yeah, if you watch the movie, it's
Well,
not like
I
I'm
didn't
reading
I
the
didn't even know
book.
they had. I'm talking about the book. What book did they not make a movie of that we know?
A lot of books have
Oh
movies.
well, All Quiet on the Western Front is coming out.
All right, before that comes out, would you get? I feel like you'd get the same, unless it has graphs and maps and shit. You're getting the same shit from listening to it.
Okay,
You're arguing two different things with me. You're saying the
What am I
knowledge
saying?
thing.
I'm saying
it's
you read a
not
book to get
reading a-
knowledge.
it's
but
not reading a book.
Reading a
Coop, would-
book.
Okay.
No, he's arguing against me. He's saying no, it's like reading a book.
Yeah,
because
but
I-
if you say
Okay,
I-
wait.
but
Let's
listen,
clarify
you're
our
just
arguments.
like-
Clarify our arguments.
All right.
I'm saying it's a podcast because Joey's like, well,
Okay, well, I'm not.
podcast-
I'm
Oh,
saying
this
it's
is
not
gonna be a good
podcast.
argument. I like
I'm
this.
saying if you
It's a stupid
listened,
argument.
if you read 1984 and I listened to 1984, we had the same exact
But it's
experience at the end of the
not
day.
Reading it.
Not the same. I
Reading
would
it
not
is
say the same
different.
experience.
Reading it is completely different. You can get the same knowledge, and you might take the same perspective from it.
Yeah, that's the whole point of a book.
But it's not reading a book.
You're not reading
Reading
words.
is different than listening. That's exactly
Right, but
You
in
can't
terms of
read-
books,
you can't read.
But
sound,
one's not
bro.
better than the other, unless you have charts and
It's
graphs
like,
and they
dude,
use
it's
it
like
like a
reading
textbook.
music and playing music or listening to it.
No,
It's
I
two
don't think
different
that at
experiences.
all.
Reading music and
Playing music, you're actually doing something.
Okay, ready?
Okay, reading music and listening to music and arguing that you're having the same experience. That's what you're saying. It's not. Because when you
That's
read, you
complete-
have your own, you're narrating it yourself. You're saying
Which
you
most of the
retain
time is
knowledge.
probably wrong.
Hey,
But
hey.
it doesn't matter. It's
Hey.
you reading the. That's why it's different. That's why it's different. You're
But
listening to the book.
if you're getting more information from listening to it,
Who gives a fuck about more information? You're
because
not
that's the
getting-
whole point of reading a book. What are you going to read a book for?
I'm going to
I get
Joey
what
on
the
the
point of
info.
What's the
reading
whole
a-
point of reading a book if you're not good? If you're just sitting there looking at
I think you're
words?
fucking. I think, dude,
Coop,
this is like
the point of the book
wish
is to
I
get the
no,
information.
I wish I could punch the words into my ears, Joey. I'm not talking about retention of information at all.
But
if you're saying I read a book,
it's like listen to a podcast.
You need to tell me that if you listen to the audiobook of 1984, you listen to the audiobook of 1984.
Yes.
You did not read 1984. That's my whole argument.
But I'm saying reading, you still got through the whole thing.
I listened to the audiobook of Assassination of Julius Caesar. I highly recommend it. Are you happy, Coop?
Yes, but that's my point. You're not reading a book.
You're at the same level as someone that read it.
I have the book that I talked about earlier.
The action of reading.
The physical thing. That's what reading is. Even if you have a Kindle, that's reading because you're reading the words yourself.
Yes.
Listening isn't reading. That's my whole argument. And you've been like that. So you're basically.
But I'm saying, but you're acting like it's not reading. You're acting like you're not getting anything out of it. You said it's like a podcast.
Are you reading our podcast right now?
I listened to what I said.
No. Here's the deal. People need to text me because I know people listen to this.
Did I not say it, Pro Cup? Well, I said you're not physically reading it, but you're getting the same thing out of it.
Stop saying it's reading then. You just
not physically reading.
It's all right.
So, then it is not reading.
You tell us, listeners.
Here's what I do. Sometimes I get a text and I play the audiobook, and it helps me absorb it in two different ways. Mm-hmm. I am so ADD brain that I'll stop absorbing the words. So I'm just looking at words. And like when Coop brought up music, it's very similar to that. When I look at notes, if I can comprehend the music, I can make it up in my head. But if I'm not that good at sight reading, I can't like be like, oh, this note is going to sound like this if I were to play it. I'm not that quick with sight reading.
Fucking whole legs showing.
But I can like hear a note and go and repeat it really quickly. I can be. I mean, sing a note.
So
Joey.
What if we change the word from reading to consume? To consume.
Consume.
I consumed 1984.
No, you listened to the audio book.
But I consumed it. I consumed it.
My whole argument is you need to specify. I'm looking into the camera. This is a PSA.
Because he's judging.
This is a PSA. Judging. If you come up to me and say, I've read this book. Like, I'm reading this 600-page book about the...
Okay.
If you come up to me and go... I read that too, and you
just because it's hard for you to read doesn't mean
it's not that it's hard
because you can't read.
I read fine, but I'm saying it's not the same thing.
But it takes the same amount of time.
No, it doesn't. I honestly.
What are you talking about? I've read and listened to books, and it takes the same amount of time.
Maybe I don't know. I think it's
especially when you have the author go next chapter. This that's just adding time for the audiobook. So honestly, it might take longer.
There's no way it takes longer.
Unless you're looking at a textbook and graph, and then I agree with you. Because if you see the graphs and shit.
You're fucking delusional. It's because you listen to books that you
I
definitely
listen
haven't read
and I
in years.
have
you haven't read a book in years.
I'm reading 3 books right now at once. I've read all of Andy Weir's books.
You're reading the audiobooks?
I've listened to 10 audiobooks, and I've read 7 books this year.
So you've listened to 10 podcasts.
Read on my Kindle.
I would argue that listening to a Dan Carlin podcast is the same as him reading a history book.
Well, he has history books that he reads.
I would say that's more of a lecture. That's more like a lecture, though.
But that's not you reading it. That's you listening to a podcast because it's a podcast.
But you're making it out like it's less. Why are you making it out like it's less?
We need to call Aaron and get him in.
Aaron hasn't read or listened to a book.
Stop jacking off.
Stop whacking it.
One sec. We'll get him in.
I don't think Aaron knows what a book is. But what are you going to ask him?
I'm gonna fucking lay down.
All right, can I come in here with my little mediation?
Yeah.
So Coop, do you think you are absorbing any less information?
You guys keep bringing this absorbing information shit
No.
Well, that's the whole point.
Hello?
Hey. I need you to settle. We're on the podcast right now. I need you to settle an argument. All right?
Yeah.
Joey is arguing listening to an audiobook is the same as reading the book itself. And I am arguing that listening to an audiobook is the same as listening to a podcast. And these two idiots keep on bringing in knowledge retention. I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about technicalities. It is completely different.
But we already gave up the technicality.
We gave up the technicality.
They're saying listening to a podcast is different than...
No, they're saying listening to... Essentially saying listening to a podcast is the same as reading a book.
You're saying that.
That's what an audiobook is. It's a fucking podcast.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's a one-man podcast.
No,
it's like 8 hours.
Most podcasts is filler.
Joey, it depends. Joey's listened to hardcore history, and that is him. That is a book. But
you're listening to it is my point. That's not reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not reading.
Yes, there we go.
No, you changed the
No,
question
that's not
again.
been the whole
He has no
argument.
argument.
That's been the whole
He has no
argument.
argument
I
because
can
he
say
can't
that all the
read.
time.
Me and
He
Joey
can't
are on the
read, so he
knowledge
finds it a
retention.
challenge.
Joey keeps on bringing up knowledge retention, dude. Like
Yes.
a fucking jabroni.
Why
I'm not
would that
talking
not bring
about
up- that's
that.
the whole point of reading
I'm
a book.
saying it's still impressive you are getting the same knowledge. I'm not arguing that you
Okay,
couldn't be
well,
on the
then
same.
there you
I
go.
can admit it's a
I'm
little
arguing you can't be
lazier.
on the same. I'm not saying you can't be
Do
on
you
the
want
same, the same conversation. Like if you had, like if you listen to the audiobook of 1984 and I fucking read it, we can have a conversation and a dialogue. But you didn't read it; you listened to it.
Yes, but we are
That's
at the
my
same
point.
endpoint. The same
Aaron,
endpoint.
don't you agree? He hung up.
Yeah,
Let's get the
because he's
fucking-
on my side. Because
No,
I know
he's not.
him.
He's not.
Because we already
Dude,
had this conversation. I know he is.
No, dude. It's
Dude.
stupid. It's not the same. It's the same with knowledge.
Why would I
I
not-
would argue that, like, but that's the thing. You're trying to argue, but you're just getting in the technicality of it with me now. We're going back
You're
and
the
forth.
one with the technicality.
No, you're bringing the technicalities in because
I
I'm trying to
already,
get
I
a
already
dialogue.
agreed. I agreed to change it to consume a book.
Yes,
that
but you
includes
need to
audiobook
argue-
and reading. Is
Reading
consuming
is
a
so
book.
different, and I think
I
that
don't
that's
think
fucking
it is.
crazy. That's fucking crazy.
And let
It
me
depends on the book,
let me
I'd
land
say.
in the middle a little bit
I'll go
because
with that word.
I'm reading this book, or I'm listening. Excuse me, Coop. Excuse me. So sorry. I'm listening to this
There
book.
you go. Exactly. You're right.
So
I'm
but-
listening to this book in like, okay, am I gonna like this? It's the Audible once a month thing. I already pay for it. Let me try it out. If I don't like it, whatever.
They give you one credit a month too. That's one book a month.
Yeah. So I like it. Now I know.
Thank
I'm
you,
gonna get
Bezos.
it.
Give us money,
And then
Bezos.
that way I'll have the physical text. So when I'm like, oh, I want to remember this passage in it, can go to it and I don't have to flip through my phone, be like, what chapter was that in? You can absorb information in a different way. So it's definitely different. We'll give you that technicality.
So I'll give you two books. Well, actually, yeah, two books. There's Meditations
fiction.
by Marcus Aurelius, and then there's that I've listened to and then read. And I would honestly say listening to is way better because then I have a guy that I don't have to try to figure out this stupid structure that these dumb Romans did. And the other one is The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and they read it with the Peter Baelish guy. And I would much rather listen to Peter Baelish.
I actually read Art of War though.
I read it physically first, and then I
Okay.
did the audiobook. Because physically, it's just not efficient for me. What am I gonna do in a car?
Well, you're just basically saying that you just have such a bad reading level
but I
that you
read
need
just
to
as
listen.
fast. I'm saying it took me 10 hours each. I actually slow it down on Audible because some of them talk super fast when they do the conversations between people.
Oh,
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Because usually they have two different narrators for each person, and that's like, okay, now I can tell who's who. But when you have the same dude saying it, I'm like, oh, hold up. So that I'll give you that for the book. But I'd say most books these days are made with the audiobook in mind. And I know that from every newer book I've listened to.
It's not fucking.
Is like they have the author there and they have him or somebody else narrate it because sometimes the author has a stupid voice.
I think we've come to the end on this one. Just say you're listening to it, and you won't piss off guys like
You're
Coop
consuming it.
who are like, I'm not listening to a
coined it.
podcast. I have an
Here's the
authority
deal.
complex, and I have to read this book.
Here's the deal.
It's because reading's hard for him. So
Hey,
he
I'm
needs
not going to
the
get
challenge.
books. I'm sticking to
I don't
scrolls.
like to read that much because
That's Coop.
because I get distracted more when I read. I feel like
Well, that's because you.
no, but if I'm sitting and I'm reading, it's like, well,
That's
what am
why
I going to do with my
arguing that
hands?
it's more impressive. Because you
That
have to
you're
sit
sitting
down
there
and
and
physically.
focus?
You have to be
Yeah, but if you're
sitting
reading-
down physically.
but if you're reading a book
which
without
is way
charts
more
and
impressive.
shit.
I can sit down on the couch and listen to a fucking book while I'm working. That's cheating. If you're
It's not
reading a book,
cheating.
you need to sacrifice the actual time of day to sit down and read a book.
But
That's
why is sacrifice so
Because you-
admirable?
Because it's more impressive to like read
I'd
a
say
book.
it's more
That's why I'm saying
impressive.
it's more
I'd
impressive.
say it's
to read
more
a book.
impressive to get a full work day and have the same amount of point in the book at the end of the day, because you only got one life.
Yeah.
If you're-
Agreed.
So if you're driving
That's why
an
I'm
hour,
doing it.
I guess this
you
is just
gotta
a
do
boomer
something
take
in that
of it.
hour. And I'm done with podcasts now. Besides this one, it's just I've realized 90% of it is just filler. Like,
Shut the fuck up, dude.
this is not. This has been a full conversation.
Hey, I would like to say
This
that
is a
this
book. This is a
we
book.
critique a lot of stuff really well on this podcast.
This podcast
And
might go better without Aaron.
if we can critique podcasts on this podcast,
Aaron's
I
never
think that's
read
pretty
or listened to
meta.
a
That's
book.
pretty meta right there. If we critique, what
Aaron, have you
sucks?
seen a book?
Aaron, does this podcast
been in the
suck?
same
He's
room.
silent. He's silent, and he's never gonna fucking comment because he doesn't listen and support the fucking podcast. Anyway,
He reads books in 6-second increments.
I think this podcast does suck because we're switching to other content.
can I talk to you about what is a big deal? I feel like 2 big deals in my heart and soul that happened. First one, there's more Catholics in North Ireland for the first time ever than Protestants. They are saying a one Ireland could be legitimately happening. But it's the first time ever that I guess that like Catholics are slowly starting to take over North Ireland.
So, have any of us been to Northern Ireland?
No.
Do you think it's nicer? I don't know.
Is it a whole different country that you got to go through customs and stuff for? I'm sure, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, will it bring up Ireland, or is it going to bring it down?
I don't know. I'm sure it's...
I'm sure it's going to go up.
Where's HP?
Personally.
Where's HP headquartered? Is that in Southern or North?
What's HP?
Here at Packard.
I
The
don't.
computers.
I'm
Oh,
guessing.
wow.
Well, if they're no, because if they want the no taxes, I think it's got to be Southern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, an Apple is probably Southern.
If it's Southern,
It's behind-
that's going to be a tax haven.
It's behind the McDonald's.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's like,
oh my
no
God.
one working there.
Got it, guys. But this is a hope. I don't know if this is going to happen, but if this one Ireland thing is true, Coop, if
I was just kind of
if
saying that.
there's gonna
That's
if there's gonna be
happen.
some kind of thing, I hope the U.S. supports South Ireland as like some kind of super tax haven to open up.
It'd
And
be
then
in our interest.
this is how the U.S. UK round 2 starts off, and then we can really put them away this time.
The UK. The UK's dollar is now like super bad, right?
It's the pound.
The pound, but I'm saying like to the dollar. That's what I meant to say.
Here's the thing:
Exchange rate.
if we,
Yeah.
Brexit, right?
if we can
Yeah. You don't
reverse
get that on every podcast.
colonize England, I'll back
I
away
don't
from
want
want
that
it. I
everything.
don't want it. I don't need it.
We-
to be-
we-
No,
could
no.
just-
It's just to make it.
no, I
They
don't need
they
it.
made
I don't wanna
everywhere
be
else
involved.
the
I
prison
don't want to be
place.
involved at all. I would
The
rather
thing is,
watch.
the one thing America always has in its back pocket is the non-interventionist.
Yeah, well,
That we
this-
can always pull that out, like
Non-interventionist.
You know what?
we can just pull that out at
to be-
any time and
you
then
know-
join in later in the war when it's already won.
Yeah, what are you gonna come over here? Well, dude, they were scrambling the big boy bombers the other day over Sweden or something like that.
Sweden.
When Putin did his whole mobilization thing, like they were like, just letting you know, Putin. But yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. Lithuania not taking any draft dodging Ruskies, dude. They're like, well, you guys stayed in Russia and supported it for the last 6 months, but now you guys have to fight. Fuck you, you're not coming there. Lithuania,
Damn.
good for you, dude.
Damn.
They are not going to take it easy on
Isn't
you.
that just
if
more
they do
Russian
invade.
troops, though?
Yeah, but they don't want to fight.
They don't want to fight.
go to
That's
Poland.
If you're
not how
running
it
for
works.
Lithuania,
They'll go to Poland.
not that I've
Oh,
been
Belarus.
there. I would love to go to
No, they can't go to Belarus.
because Belarus will decide at some
Yeah,
point.
they'll just
I'm
send them
sure-
back.
Belarus is probably
the
arming up
one ally.
alongside of them.
Yeah,
I've seen so many videos of Russians breaking their arms and legs to get out of it. It is wild. I've seen some gruesome ones too. First of all, it's pretty easy to break your leg. I just want to point out, you guys don't need
it's
to go
not
through.
fun.
You guys don't need to go through
See-
jumping off stairs onto your friend's
See,
leg. You have
TikTok-
cars. You have
TikTok
cars.
and stuff like that, that's like modern proletariat history. That's what's so crazy. We're
It
going
is
to have
cool.
such a good
We're in
record.
we're like in
We're
a
going to have such a good
post-history.
record of crazy
It's almost like
crap.
there won't be history anymore. We're gonna know exactly what happened.
yeah, we don't need.
We're post history.
And
That's not-
no,
That's not true because
you, that
some point
You
of-
can never really be post history.
wow, Joe.
But I'm
You
saying-
sound like Bill Clinton in 1991.
when did he say
Did you
that?
say that?
They kind of said, who said that?
Well, when you
Was
have
it
everything
Thatcher?
documented,
We're at the end of
I feel
history.
like as a historian, you're trying to like figure shit out, right? And now that's so well documented, you don't really need to figure shit out.
I still think we only see so much. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, for sure. But I think like as time goes on, more shit will, you know,
That's the crazy.
everything's being saved. I
That's the
feel
crazy thing, dude. That I was thinking about is a lot of the older Russians seem to be like, yeah, these people should go fight, whereas a lot of the younger Russians are like kind of like just like how the Gen Z and stuff here is. Like they're not into it.
Like. Yeah, they're not about it. I don't blame them.
Well, dude,
Well, I
because
think
they probably have less of a grip on them now, just because it's the same thing. Like I'm sure stuff happens in China that doesn't get out to us. You know what I mean? So it's like it's the same thing. Like the hope is that hopefully everybody's country's kids suck, and that no one wants to fucking.
I don't
It's
know.
gonna come
I don't
down
know
to
about
who can
China.
starve the best. I don't
We're
think that's
really
us.
good at eating.
I don't think that's gonna
No,
be
I hate
us.
to say it though.
We'll
we
have
don't
the
need to
fat
starve.
reserves.
We don't
Yeah.
need to. We don't need to starve because we just have so much corn. So we can just make corn syrup and be like Oreos. There's just like that was the thing that we heard on Tim Dillon, dude. How like Nabisco or whatever, whoever has Chips Ahoy Oreo and stuff is like, no food should be treated differently. She's like,
I think in time of war that's true though. Because you
100%.
calories.
Well, that's the thing. We
It's all
gotta.
about calories at that point.
Oh,
We're-
definitely. It's wartime.
We are. Unfortunate. That's the thing because people look at it as history and they're like, oh, they'll never only give us a few loaves of bread.
Do you want to know who exports the most food? Brazil. They're about to have a fucking day.
Well,
Oh yeah, they have an
because they're
election coming
chopping
up.
down the whole rainforest to put in like beef.
Dude,
biggest
they're not
export
even
of beef.
chopping it down. They're just straight up setting
Napalm
brush
it.
fires. They're literally
Well, here's the thing. If you're
Yeah.
like, the world's going to starve, we have the ability to make all this food. And
But
we
you don't
already
know-
do have the trade route set up.
But long term, we have no idea how that's going to be on the
Well,
environment.
if climate change is going the way it does, it might be the only place to grow food.
They're also not like using farming super ethically either.
Well, that's why I think that they're in Brazil, Mexico, all of them, invest in them. Because this is financial advice. Because we need food, people. We need food. And if you just put a little bit of technology into like their little farms, like
Don't say little
Hydro.
farms.
A lot of hydro.
well, they don't have good, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all broken up, and they don't
Well, we're
have.
gonna
They don't
need-
have like the corporations.
Okay.
Have you ever
that
heard
we
of
have.
I might delete
factory
this.
farming?
I really might delete this. You know what we're gonna really need to invest in?
No,
It's gonna be really hard to delete a video.
Water filtration.
that's not why delete that.
Yeah, but even if you get all the,
That we're gonna
what are you
have
do
no
with the
clean
salt?
water.
What are you gonna do with the
We're gonna
salt
need to.
from like the ocean.
But you have to the ability, like how are you gonna
I'm assuming we're talking about ocean water.
how are you gonna
'cause it's-
desalinate that much
or
ocean water to get
That's
mostly
what I'm
gray
saying.
water. Mostly like we're gonna have to cut back on a lot of like wasteful like greenery watering, and then recycling a lot of gray water.
Yeah,
That's
no,
just
we
what
definitely-
That's just what like
I
they
think
say.
even with that though, we're gonna have to turn to the old Mother Ocean, and I think that's gonna be
But
funny.
where is the water going?
It goes back into the water cycle.
No, it's all the
right?
the gray water
Just goes in the ocean.
does not take as quickly as people would think. The gray water, there's acid rain. A lot of water is
Yeah, you can't drink
Can I
rain.
ask you something about the space thing? Do you think
What
they
space
sent
thing?
these people up in space and were like, yo, go drink piss water and see how long you can last up there in fucking space to see if you can come back down and drink piss water and live?
oh
I
my
mean-
god.
Because then if it goes bad, you just kind of like flush them out into space. And like, oh, there's a part fell.
I think we did it on Earth before we sent them up there and spent all that money.
Speaking of space, this is the other thing I wanted to talk about. They shot a fucking missile
They shot
and hit a fucking meteor, right?
and deflected
And it
it,
moved like a foot.
which is a lot in space terms.
Yep.
But they're saying if it was like a fucking
So get that off your bucket list. The meteor killing us.
well,
We covered that base.
there was something I was listening to. They were like, "Do you think that was the first time that they did one of those tests, or do you think they've done it successfully?"
I
And we're
mean-
like, "Let's live stream this one and show we can do it again."
The thing, when you think about how big,
Yeah, they don't
when
wanna
you think
freak
of how
people
big
out either,
space
you're
is. Well, it's not even that, but I think they just show like that's not something you really need to hide.
Well, imagine if it goes bad and they're like, "Oh, we were just doing a test run
Oh
and we
yeah, I
missed."
see what you mean.
And
I
then
don't
it's like-
think there's enough meteors or comets or whatever that they could have
It
used.
says who though?
It says space is ginormous, and
So
you have
that
to
means there's
get them.
probably a ton of
You have to be able to
meteors.
launch it, which and like get it there, which I don't know if you could do technology before now. And then you also have to filter it by meteors being close to you.
Mm.
So I could take it either way. I could see what you're saying, but I could
Was
also see the other
was
argument.
this a true threat though? Do we know that
no,
this
it wasn't. It was just in like
It was-
some stupid.
This was
place.
an experiment,
It was like one of the.
but it
Then
came
who's
it
close.
was like one of the
It
like
came close enough that we were able to use
the
like,
math. Yeah.
Yeah, the math.
Well, I
They
think
basically
that's
were
a
like,
learning
if it,
experience.
they were like hypothetically.
There.
Good thing I was sitting on his fucking jizz stains. But they were saying like if a meteor was gonna hit Boston, it could have gone to Maine. So it's basically like they could have deflected.
If it's that close, I don't know. I think it's too late.
Well, they were saying it's like it was only a small meteor, so it wouldn't have been impactful.
But if you get it far enough out, like it's traveling at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's
Cool
like more of a safe
This is
test
some
where
Star
it's
Wars
like
shit.
we can show off our capabilities. We can actually prove to the public. You know, it's a good way to get funding. That's what it is. Funding. Anytime they
It
do
is a
the
good
rocket
way.
launches, it's like NASA's basically dissolved, but like they're coming back. They're coming back. I think Joe's just like in the old school realm where he's like, we got to the moon, we got to keep doing that stuff, which is like,
Yeah.
hey, you know, I'll take that over like
They got the telescope too.
I don't know. Did Trump ever want to go to the moon? That
He did
sounds
Space Force. He did
He's
Space Force.
Space
So you got to
Force.
give him a little credit.
like okay. I'll give him Space
But
Force.
also NASA works in between.
But that you know what
presidents.
that no, I can't give him Space Force because that's militarizing space, Joe. I
Well,
really
that's
don't
how we did
like
anything
that.
else. You got to militarize it a little bit, and that's how it works.
Ugh.
That's what we've learned.
Has it though?
Radio.
Has it though? We militarized Bikini Atoll first, and now we got SpongeBob.
Uh-huh.
Because we nuked it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
Just pulling that one. Okay, so space is funding.
Space is fun again, guys.
Oh, I was saying it's funding. They're doing stuff to get funding
They're literally
to be like,
Well,
oh,
Well, I mean, if it's like a meteor's gonna hit us, it's kind of like you gotta throw all the money you really can at it at that point.
yeah.
Hopefully, everyone agrees.
Well, they're saying like
multiple
th-
nations.
like I feel like scientists also say that like we can only know up to this, and we should be capable because by the time
We'll
we
try it
know
again.
that,
Yeah.
we're literally on death's
Proof of
door.
concept. We should go out next time. It's gonna be bigger. We need more money.
Yeah, so it's like it's a thing where it's like
And it's not even like they're blasting the money into space either. Because like if it's NASA, it's like people are getting paid.
people are getting paid,
The money mainly goes to like the scientists.
and it goes to
and
the
engineers.
manufacturers, the engineers.
the money just doesn't
And
go
the
away.
thing,
Our explosives go to space, I guess.
yeah, I
Wait,
can't.
was
I
it
can't.
actually a missile?
I
or was
can't
it like
argue against technological
They called
progress.
it a dart.
a dart? That's a cool name for it.
It's like directional or asteroid.
Repellent technology.
Is that?
Torpedo.
Do we just jump to that?
No, that I listen. I don't know. I don't know.
No, I think you're right.
You listen
but
to
I
a
think- I
podcast?
think
I listened to the radio actually because I was charging my phone. Anyway, what else did I want to talk about?
What time are we at?
Probably like an hour. One thing I wanted to talk about is I watched the Dahmer show. Serial killers are fucking. It's not the serial killers themselves. It's the culture behind everyone who eats up the serial killer shit.
Yeah, I don't get
It's
it.
like, dude, there was this one clip I saw on TikTok. This person was like, when Tony went back for his keys and was like, made like a fucking meme of it. I'm like, bro, Tony was real. Why are you making a fucking TV show? Like, it's not like, I don't know, it's weird. Like, people love serial killers, man. And it's kind of like, it's a little
Yeah, I
odd.
don't know. That's like the most popular podcast too. Is serial killer.
The true
shit.
crime ones, yeah.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is too is the fact that like because I watched the next thing that popped up on Netflix was like the John Wayne Gacy tapes, and I watched that one. It was way too long. They didn't need 10 episodes. One episode would have done.
Well, it's gotta be a series if it's on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yep.
You gotta have that series.
So it was whatever, but like, dude, the amount of times like police know people did or are doing something and just like, like literally, like you think these serial killers are like getting away with it. They have no clue who they are. Like even Bundy got like arrested on suspicion a few times, and it's like, bro, these people exist. Like, and it's like these people like the cops weren't doing. They were saying his apartment smelled foul. Like, I, like, for some reason, thought he lived in his grandma's house the whole time he was killing everybody. So I didn't realize he was
Who,
in, like,
Bundy or Dahmer?
Dahmer. I didn't realize he was in an apartment like this, but, like, not a good apartment building. But, like, everybody's in everybody's business, dude. So, like, he was using power tools, killing people. Like, it would be, like, the equivalent of us screaming, but instead of us screaming about books, it was, he's fucking killing me.
Yeah,
And they called the fucking... And it's
You're a little responsible as his neighbors. I'm just saying.
But dude, every time the cops showed up, he's like, "Oh, you mean like gay stuff?" And they're like, oh, there's gay stuff in there.
Whoa, man.
Hey, at least now people aren't so afraid of gay stuff where it's like, what's the excuse
Yeah,
now?
you're not getting the excuse.
What's going to be the excuse now?
The cereal, like this.
Hey, this is my furry stuff. Oh,
Hey,
whoa,
man,
whoa.
I don't judge what you do.
We got to get a warrant for that.
Is this what gay people do? I don't know.
The crazier one was the Son of Sam one, dude. Son of Sam was
What's that one?
nuts. It's like a weird cult one, but the guy who went around and like just was shooting random people in New York for like 2 years, like just like
Yep.
oh, these people are making out in their car, bam, bam, and then running away. But apparently it was like this cult of people doing it, and this guy Berkowitz took all of the fucking blame. But it was just like this, like when New York was not good, and then they like terrorized New York. But then after, mysteriously, is when New York began to give like support to their police and stuff like that, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah, it's embarrassing to let that go. So
yeah,
New York was an embarrassment for
a long time.
like post 68 probably it's just whoom, just plummets. Richard Nixon comes into office, New York falls off
so
a
who
cliff.
was cool back then? Who was the city to be?
L.A.
It's like,
probably.
yeah, LA.
LA, because he was a California Republican.
Chicago probably. Chicago was probably
Yeah,
Boston,
San Francisco,
Miami.
all of them.
The war on crime starts and basically
War on crime. War on drugs.
war on drugs starts.
War on
But
crime.
but Nixon is pumping crack cocaine into the inner cities, so
We should come up with a new
Brainwashing.
conspiracy for that.
it's crazy. That's how New York falls off a cliff.
Well, all those cities
Crap.
did. Detroit,
oh,
and all
yeah.
those places, they all did the same thing at the same time.
Crack must be dope.
That's a fucking weird. Anyways, what else?
Nice one-liner there.
That's how you fucking
Leslie.
do it. That's. One sec. Let me take a sip of my like nice Kirkland water that I know will make it through the water shortages.
If you're thirsty, Kirkland water.
I
They
heard
get it from a glacier.
I
in,
heard liquid death
It's purified
tastes
water
not
with
great.
Added minerals.
Added minerals from the pipes.
It's great to watch down this shipyard that we had like $500 of last year. Like, please, maybe
Yeah. At least
Anyway.
reimburse us.
for the bottles at least. It's like nickel each. Anyways, Aaron, do you have any closing takes?
It's whacking it.
He's not finished yet. It takes a lot for him. Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of what else I had. I don't know if I had anything. Anything come up with you guys? I saw you made a little
Just-
escape video.
Oh yeah, no, that was just me and Jake hanging out. He was like, "I want to do something stupid," and then we recorded that. I think he said he wanted to do something with you. He said you were a goofy guy and he wanted to use you.
Who is this?
fantastic.
My buddy Jake, who we had on.
Oh. I think I
Yes.
had a different one. Okay.
I went skateboarding the other day, and
Oh.
we made a dumb video.
Skate off.
Are you still good at I didn't see it.
Well, did you see
Um,
him at the country club skating?
Oh,
Of course.
Yeah,
you
it
did.
was surprising.
I
Take
should
you up by your
now. I
collar.
should. I was like, oh, do I take a video today? And I actually did like pretty good because I stretched out and surprised myself. I was like, damn, I should have actually taped myself, but now I have to put my money where my mouth is and actually go back and show you guys that I can skate, or at least prove it. I definitely have a video on my phone, but I'm not going to get up because it's recording this.
We need to golf and we need to get Aaron golfing.
Yeah, if everybody's been so
'Cause he's
curious
content.
about where Aaron's been the last month.
Yeah, I know, right?
He's been on a much needed vacation from making the podcast.
PTO.
PTO.
PTO. He strategically uses his PTO days
Yeah.
on days that we record the podcast, so he's still loaded.
Yeah, he still got like months.
Yeah. Speaking of months, I know I've been saying it for months, but t-shirts, Mia's got them coming. I'm just going to send her the clip of this because I don't know if she listens to this later. The t-shirts have got to be coming, man.
Wait, should I go and get a
he quoted me the
compilation?
price.
Should I make a compilation?
He quoted me the price. I just need him to tell me when to pay him. And he hasn't fucking answered me. But I guess Mia got bit by a spider
What
out
type
in
of
Yellowstone. They don't know. She's like, I'll go in to the like medical place if it's not better by tomorrow. And she's been fine since, so. Don't know
What's
what
better?
kind of
What
spider.
was wrong? I guess we don't want to
Bitter
dox.
on the lip.
Yeah.
The spider.
Was it like?
When-
Look,
The
like
lip swole up a lot. But
yikes.
Oh shit! I need to get my fucking backpack, dude. We gotta show off the fucking thing we did.
Oh, did you win some stuff, right?
What did we do? Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you
I don't
won
have
some
mine.
stuff.
I put it at the longhouse.
So what was this?
We forgot to hang the trophies up before the pod, dude. We got silver at this golf tournament. Just dominated 9-hole tournament. We thought it was 18. We definitely could have played 18 because we ate dinner, got home, and I smoked a joint before the sun went down. Could have been 18. But we played money. We were like 1 or 2 putts away from winning this golf tournament. It was on a little par
We were
3,
robbed
par
a
4
couple
course.
times.
Yeah, like, dude, just like Joey had this beautiful birdie putt on this breaking, like, side slope.
It's coming downhill.
It coming downhill, trickling perfectly, and it rolls back up the hill. Like, whoever took the pin out because it was so wet the day before, like,
It was like ridged
made
up.
a lip, so it was a backboard.
So it
But
stopped
on the
right
downslope.
on the edge of it.
Yeah, but
I was like,
like,
I could have stomped my foot a
even
couple
that-
times. It probably would have went in.
Even the guys behind us were like, that shit counted. So that would have put us within 1, and then we missed another birdie putt by like a little bit. But dude, we played dominant golf. Like, we used at least a few of everybody's shot. Like, you had that crazy chip, you had a few good putts, I had a few good drives.
It's a fun course.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do during the winter? What's our game? Or
You
is
can
it
still
just
play golf at a lot of places as long as there's not snow on the ground.
It'll be
Yes,
hard
you're right.
ground.
We could
but
also do axe throwing.
good.
axe?
Because you're not. Are
And
you
knife.
open on Wednesday? What days are you open?
Every day but Monday, Tuesday.
We could do it Tuesday night.
A little tournament.
Yeah, that'd be a video.
Got a bunch of people
Dude,
now.
that could be a little TikTok series too. If you're ever on Tuesday nights. Or after hours on Wednesdays or something. Thursday, Friday.
They'd probably sponsor us. There's like no one. Like, who else they can sponsor?
Yeah.
Like, everyone. Like, there's a lot of weirdos in the sport. So like, you need to get.
If we can get decent enough to play in like tournaments and become like axe throwing stand up comedian skate off golf people, maybe someone will like us enough to give us money.
Whatever you guys
We
need. we'll-
do.
I'm like
We're like dude perfects, but we have beers in our hands.
yeah, we have
don't make
mini
us
golf.
hike. Please don't make us hike.
We have mini golf video coming out soon
Yes,
too.
I should have that
With the
done.
very funny
It's been
Cliff
so long.
Mula and the very funny Vince Barry, both hilarious comics, will put their stuff in the. You'll see it when it comes out. Very funny. We said when we recorded it's going to be in October because it was like an hour and a half thing, and we recorded it on like 4 different mics. Like, it was kind of chaos.
It was kind of chaos.
But
I
it was the
think-
first time doing it, so I think the second time around we wouldn't even necessarily. If we could just get like the tough thing is he had the mic like this, so we were like passing it around the first few holes before I just took my
Yeah.
phone out.
You know what we needed was like 2 more of those things, and if they were all hooked up to an iPhone, because it takes so much less gigs on that thing, and can go for an hour. But his thing could only go for 25 minutes at a time, so it's like not good for filming a podcast. But this can record a video for an hour long. It's like fit. No, his camera only recorded for like 25 minutes at a time.
No, I'm
'Cause-
saying an hour long. I'm saying the last podcast I recorded was an hour and 15
Yeah, I know.
minutes.
The iPhone can. His camera couldn't. That's how we had the
Oh.
mics set up through the camera. Not to
Apple give
like
us money.
shit on his gear. It's good gear and it got great looking footage. That footage is a gig a minute. And we
Oh,
definitely
it's just
got
like
like an
that.
hour's worth of footage, maybe hour and a half worth of footage that
Do
I
we
got
need
cut
a
down.
GoPro? Do we need a GoPro?
Maybe.
Are those
That'd be fun.
still expensive? Or
No,
do
they're
they-
cheap. They're cheapy
cheap now?
poopy ones,
Nice.
and we all just get lapel
How
mics.
the fuck would he
And
say
we-
it like that?
What if we all had GoPro?
Well, because you could put the GoPros in the car.
Do
Yeah.
do the face down and the face away.
Because like I don't know how GoPros work. Do they have an SD card or something like that? Is that how they work? How do
Yeah.
they work?
SD cards probably.
So if you get one,
No, I thought it. I
a
don't
big
know.
SD card, would it like do 18 holes? Do you think, or no? We'd have to.
Yeah,
Or
because
we could swap out the
depends on
SD
the
card, too.
it depends on the footage quality. Because then if the footage is less quality, there's more room.
Well, we could have ones on the cart that aren't insanely great, and then we have like if we're trying to see someone's actual like drive,
You
get a
put
good
it
one,
on.
so you can
Yeah.
actually see the ball.
Yeah.
If it
Yeah,
even
because
sees the ball.
that video that you took of my shot on 8 or 9, you can see the ball
Yeah.
against the sky, and it's dope. It's
Yeah.
dope.
I was a little upset you didn't get behind me, Coop, on my shot because
I
you
tried.
do see it go whoof, like you see it leave in a perfect straight arc, but like watching, man, I'm gonna remember that one. I'm gonna have to recreate.
I'm
Now
not
watch
a
that
camera
draft.
guy. That's the unfortunate thing. I don't think of like the angles as much.
Yeah.
You it's in your instincts. I don't react like that. I moved away like thinking like,
Yeah,
oh, this
I
is
don't-
good for golf. I'm not right behind him. But
No,
live
you
and
want
learn. It
to
was still a cool
get
video.
you got to think of like how they're doing it on the Golf Channel. You want to get behind, see the full swing,
I am
a
big
little
picture
off to
guy.
the
I think
angle
it's
so you
pretty
can.
clear. I'm big picture and marketing. That's my goal. I don't know cameras as well. This is what it is.
All right.
I don't think like that. I get distracted.
You guys, anyone who's listening wants to come on and be a camera person.
We will pay you eventually.
I'm just thinking like, so if the iPhone can do a large amount of like time
We
of
just need
video,
an iCloud. We just need a group.
But-
iCloud.
I don't know. I wonder if there's I guess the iPhone camera is pretty good too. You
But-
maybe mount that
Yeah.
because now that we all have like the same phone.
Well, what you guys,
have to
there are
clear,
like
make
lapel mics that you can just plug
With
into
the,
the
like,
phone,
Bluetooth or whatever.
and then
I need to get
no,
one.
you would just
Oh, you want
you
it.
would just record it on your phone. That's one way to do it. But then it's like hard to use your phone, and that's another thing. So there's this thing that we used with Vince that like they're lapel mics that sync up to one receiver, and if I could put that on an iPhone, that is possible. So I have to look into that.
Hmm.
We
These things
need
are
one
great.
of those.
Well,
We
you
need one
can
of those for
throw-
Amsterdam, dude. Because I think
Yeah.
I don't even necessarily need to interact with the locals. I just want to
I
like.
definitely don't want to have my. I don't want to be.
Oh,
like,
you know what you get, Coop? You get one of those silly little microphones. I'll get you one of those.
And I'm gonna walk around the street and we can narrate the fucking.
But where's the film
Dusseldorf's.
coming from? Because we can't just be like.
Oh yeah, we can. We can literally say we're the second biggest podcast in America. They'll have no idea.
Yeah, they believed us last time.
They did. They don't. They.
You just
What's up, podcast?
so
Dude, here's the thing. Do you care if they judge us? Like, if I got a European TikTok and they're making
So-
fun of me, I'd
so
be like, oh,
Coop's
look at me
gonna-
trying to create in your country. Trying to bring tourism to your
Coop,
fucking
you're gonna
country.
have your phone with a mic, and you're gonna be recording voice memos, and then Joey or Aaron's gonna be recording on a phone, full shot. You guys
Aaron
are gonna
can.
put both of those. You're gonna put the voice memo and the video in the
I
iCloud
thought you
drive.
said I could plug a fucking mic in that someone could have my phone recording and I'm fucking talking.
Yeah, that's expensive.
Is it
There-
plug or why can't we use
there-
Bluetooth or something?
I have.
They have little fucking things. You think all those guys spend a ton of money on those little stupid things that connect to their phone video? There's no way.
I can't Google. Someone
Doesn't
pull.
matter. It doesn't matter.
Joey,
that
give
much.
me
We
your
don't need
phone.
to do
I'm
this
gonna-
on the podcast. Anyways, we got stuff from Amsterdam coming up too. Mini golf video. We'll have
Well, that's down the line, Amsterdam,
Well,
right?
I'm gonna start. I'm gonna clip up the 93rd and then the 97th with Ryan, and then this one I will clip it up and I'm gonna do like cooped up clips on YouTube, like the segments of it. Like we'll have the book argument, all that shit up on our YouTube. So go check it
Stalin
out.
burned all Jewish books, by the way. But,
All right, that's a great way
Oh,
to end.
Jewish
Thanks
books.
to everybody for listening.
New York
Appreciate
banned
it.
comic books.
T-shirts are coming. All
That's
right,
such a low ball.
T-shirts are coming. End the podcast. It's over.
They got everybody out here. No one is free from burning books.